We're back, everyone, Monday night on Open Line. Rhori Johnston with you on NewsChannel 5 Plus as we talk about when and if we can get kids in Metro Nashville Public Schools back into the classroom and do it as safely as possible. Obviously, with us tonight, a couple of parents, a part of the Let Nashville Parents Choose Coalition. And we want to thank them once again for being with us. Let's get right to the phones, and we've got Catherine on line one. Hi, Catherine. Welcome.
Hello.
Hi, go ahead. What's on your mind?
I have two questions. The first is, I'm curious if Metro is going to release their data regarding the enrollment and the students who are no longer engaged with virtual learning. How many children are not regularly logging on, who are not participating, who are dropping out of school? I think that's a big concern for our city. And secondly, I'm curious, along with so many other parents, as to why our mayor is not commenting on or putting pressure on the school board for this, to give parents the choice, for the school board to open faster. I mean, we're talking about a month from now for only 3 grades, kindergarten, first and second, to open, when really that is plenty of time, enough time to put a lot of pressure on the school board to get all grades open. So it's really two questions. Is anybody tracking how many children are no longer enrolled in school? What's the dropout rate? Is anybody trying to locate these children? And then why is our mayor not putting pressure on them directly?
Okay. Thank you so much. We'll listen into our guests. And I should point out, this is another one of those elements that really hasn't been discussed. Are they tracking? Is there a way of tracking these students? And a lot of students who are home alone because mom, dad, or anyone else they have to work. And so who's overseeing these kids, especially elementary, middle school? Are they logging on? Are they taking part, regularly involved in their classes? We did a story just last week or the week before about some grandparents who are raising some of these kids in Metro schools, and the technology curve for some of them, the older population, is even more difficult for them to work these computers and laptops and tablets and work out tech issues. So go ahead, ladies, either of you, both of you, respond to that caller.
Well, I'll share a story that my husband told today. I obviously, for confidentiality reasons, I don't know who he treats, but he mentioned he had a great, he's an occupational therapist. It's a hands-on therapy. He's not been able to see his kids all school year, and they have been doing things over Teams, the web, and you just can't do therapy like that. And he is supposed to see his children on a weekly basis, and this week he was able to see, he mentioned to me, one of his kids who's in first grade, and the only reason he was able to, his 4th grade brother finally figured out how to log him onto the computer, because the mom works nights, sleeps during the day. It's not working, and I don't know that outside of teachers or therapists, if these kids are actually being tracked by Metro as a whole. I'm also concerned with the number of people that are leaving to go to private school, to go to Williamson County. Those were a couple of questions that I asked my principals at the 2 schools where my kids go. And at J.T. Moore, as of today, we've approximately lost about 43 students to private school this school year. And at Glendale, we've lost about 25. And those numbers are concerning. I've got friends that do a ministry to high school students, and they're seeing a lot of their seniors either taking the year off or contemplating dropping out because they don't feel like they're being given the choice to go back, and they want to go back. Their peers are going back around them. Their private school peers are back, and it's heartbreaking.
Let's update really quickly, Nicole, the updated statement from your group talking about last Tuesday's board meeting and the announcement Sunday of phase-in. So, you all are saying you can be flexible, you can live with the proposed. It's an October 12th return date. And we also haven't even mentioned fall sports, but give us an update of where Metro Schools now stands, what their plan is at this point.
From the last board meeting, they proposed a start date of phasing in K through 2 for in-person starting right after fall break, so October 12th. our group had originally been pushing for a start date of after Labor Day for K through 2. And so when nothing happened, when we became aware of the fact that no one would be going back to in person following Labor Day, we, had to change our position. And so we feel like they have a full month to prepare, to get the schools ready, to get their teachers, safely equipped to be in the classroom. And so we feel like, a full month is enough time to get all grades back in by October 12th. Phasing in the way they are proposing is just way too long for these kids to go without any in-person instruction that want in-person instruction. Those that want to continue to do virtual, with my families, I encourage them to do so if it is working for them, or if their kid has a chronic illness that puts them at risk,
right,
or if they live in a family with, older grandparents. So I'm very encouraging of people continuing if it is working for them. But for the kids that are not, when it's not working for them, obviously, I think, high schoolers not going back until January is crippling to them. That is 10 months, almost a full 10 months without any in-person instruction. And I'm not sure that, our education system and these kids can recoup that.
Right. Especially it's it's an important time when a lot of kids are trying to prepare for the rigors of college or vocational school after high school, and 10 months, that is a long time. Obviously things changed over the summer when Nashville saw a spike in cases. And the mayor had to kind of go back and reassess everything. Obviously, a lot of people understand why metro schools had to kind of reassess based on the numbers, but what do you say about the numbers now? And I know there's been some comparisons to outlying counties, border counties, that maybe are similar or even worse in particular numbers of COVID, and yet are back to school.
And that honestly was what, or how this group started. That was really the blow that sent us into action, because yes, in July, I still filled out the survey that I was comfortable enough going just based on my family's traffic pattern. I mean, we've been playing sports. I've been around people. And so I still felt comfortable with those numbers, but a little bit understood that decision. But no one in this group understood the decision to punt it after fall break, because at that point in time when that decision was made, our numbers were great. Williamson County was going back, private schools were going back, everybody was going back, and the numbers were good. And so, that's where we were all just like, what are they basing this on? And if you look back to the June Nashville plan, the framework for a safe, efficient, and equitable return to school, they're tying it to the transmission rate. And as long as the transmission rate is under 1, schools are open. Well, we've been under 1.
Yeah.
So why are we not back in school?
Right. Nicole, did you want to say something? I'm sorry.
Yeah, the same. There's a clear graph on their reopening plan that several key leaders signed back on June 9th, and they were basing it off of that reproduction rate. And she's exactly right. We have been under 1, now for a while. And so based on that and the agreed upon reopening plan, we should have been back after Labor Day.
All right,
And I think,
go ahead.
Well, I'm sorry. I have a hard time, and today's a great day to bring it up, that, our mayor is, in my mind, a little bit too concerned with the pedal taverns and the bars downtown, and the announcement over the weekend that we're going to let the bars stay open so the Titans fans can watch the game. Where's that care for our public schools? And the very next day we get the announcement that yes, we're possibly going back again. It's not definite. It is still very worded very vaguely, and leaves it open for them to change their mind. I think we should be back now, but if people are allowed to go downtown and stay out till midnight and watch the Titans game and drink and congregate in a bar, I just don't understand why my 6th grader can't go to school and meet his teacher, and why my 4th grader can't finish out her last year at Glendale.
Let's go to the phones again. We've got Nick online too. Nick, welcome.
Thank you for taking my call. Just to build on what she said, I can't believe the mayor cares a lot more about letting everybody go out and have a good time than he does about schools. I just think that that's shameful. My question is, now that there are, most school districts in the Southeast have reopened, and there's the daycares that have been open since last spring. Even in New York City, there are places where daycares never close down. And, on the one hand, I see that there are places where there are, a lot of cases, and some schools have to close down and quarantine. But, you dig a little bit deeper, and you don't hear about any really bad health outcomes, thank goodness. And I just wanted to ask the panelists, when they look at all the examples and all the data, what are you taking from that? Is there anything that gives you pause in terms of spikes in cases? And is there anything that gives you encouragement in terms of telling you that it is safe to send your own kids back?
All right, Nick, thank you. We'll listen in. Go ahead, either one. Sorry.
Yeah, I'll answer first. I think, obviously we know going back that there are going to be hiccups. We don't expect all of our kids to go back and no one to be exposed, no one to have to quarantine. I mean, that is extremely unrealistic. What I have seen in other counties with the quarantining is that they seem to be doing a good job of quarantining, of doing contact tracing, and taking a lot of high precautions. I don't think any of us, take COVID lightly. We still have concerns, obviously, of it, and we want everyone to feel safe going back that wants to go back, especially staff and teachers. We care for them deeply and we want them to feel safe. So I do think even when we hear of certain number of kids having to quarantine, I honestly take that as a positive that they're doing a good job and trying to keep everybody safe. And I hope that we do the same. And then, there has not been any true reports of, spikes that have been caused like an increase in hospitalizations and detriment to the communities. I have not seen that. And I have been trying to be very vigilant about looking for it.
And I don't want to, I may spur some people to call in about this because I don't want to compare influenza and COVID. I know they're two separate things, but they're viruses. And year after year on News Channel 5, we report about school systems shutting down when there's particularly bad, hit of the flu. They just shut it down because so many kids and teachers have gotten sick and they just need everybody to stay home and get better and not spread it. They clean the school and then in a week they open back up. Obviously the COVID is more serious in certain aspects, but among young people the statistics do show that very few statistically get to the point when they test positive that they're actually hospitalized, that it's more like a cold or a flu. Some are asymptomatic and then they're fine after a little while. They quarantine and then get back to it.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, with that, we're going to take another break. Hang tight. 737+ is the phone number if you'd like to call in. We want to talk about the teachers too, because we've had teachers on and the groups representing the teachers in Metro Nashville schools. They have their concerns, and we're going to talk about that and much more when Open Line rolls on right after this.